We're gonna get started right after this song, okay?
I'm in love with me, and I refuse to settle. It might seem insane, but I ain't meant to be tamed. I was born in the rumble, with every struggle. No matter what, I'm gonna rise above it all. Wild and free, can you see me? Are you blinded by proclivity? We can be wild and free, doing what comes most naturally. It's been way too long, trying to fit in boxes. But all along, I was holding myself hostage till I broke the chains and turned them into reins. Cause I was born to rumble through every struggle. No matter what, I'm gonna rise above it all. Wild and free, can you see me? Are you blinded by proclivity? We can be wild and free by doing what comes most naturally. Yeah, we can be wild and free, doing what comes naturally. We can be wild and free, doing what comes naturally. We can be wild and free, doing what comes naturally. We can be wild and free, doing what comes naturally. We were born to rumble through every struggle. No matter what, we're gonna rise above it all. Wild and free, soon you will see. No longer blinded by proclivity. Cause we can be wild and free by doing what comes most naturally.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming. And now we're going to have our bridge series with Jane Allen, the CEO of the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. Before we begin, Jane, I would like to just let people know more about you and read a little bit of your bio, okay? So that everybody can just the wonderfulness that we have right here, to speak with them and they learn about you. So, because I learned about her through the Entrepreneur Center, and we actually have someone here that's going to do a testimonial later. Jane is a leader, entrepreneur, advisor, and speaker. She's an inspiring leader, a pioneering female entrepreneur and market disruptor who has innovated in traditional professions and unrivaled success. She is the entrepreneur and founder of Counsel on Call, and also Legility. Thank you. Hanner and Clark. And also the CEO of Nashville Entrepreneur Center, very busy woman, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to connecting entrepreneurs with resources needed to increase their
probability of success.
Probability for success at any stage in their life cycle. One thing that I do want to point out is what has occurred at the Entrepreneur Center since she has taken the reins. That was in October 2019. Taking over the idea, she took it from idea phase to fully scaled successful company, and it's proven key in helping the Entrepreneur Center strengthen its role as a significant support system for the vibrant entrepreneur ecosystem in Nashville. with the vision of making Nashville the best place in America to start and grow a business. It's so fitting that you're here right now, because now you'll have national and international understanding of how great Nashville is and what the Entrepreneur Center is doing. The EC is poised for great impact, given Allen's great success as both a leader and entrepreneur. Now, I do want to say, though, and I have to say this part, that she is not just all those things. She's also a mother of 3 sons and a daughter, okay? She also serves at Harpeth Hall School Board. Is married to Greg Allen. And she has mentored several entrepreneurs for 30 years within her 30-year career. So, of course, she'd be a perfect for being the CEO of the Entrepreneur Center. And so happy to have her here during the Bridge series, which she and I talked about the reason that we wanted to do this kind of discussion. So, yes, I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so honored to have you here and the people that came to hear your story. So let's get right into the questions.
Okay.
I, of course, gave them the plastic bio, right, of the information that you put out there. But tell us about Jane Allen. Tell us about the things that will make us say, oh my goodness, she's so amazing, which I've already heard these things. But tell us more about you.
Well, I don't know what I could say that would make you think I'm so amazing, but I can say that I am, all those titles that we as women wear. I am a daughter. Unfortunately, both of my parents have passed. I'm a sister, and I have 3 amazing siblings. I am a daughter-in-law to a mother-in-law. Lost my father-in-law during COVID.
Oh,
I have, as you mentioned, 4 children who are amazing. 25, almost 25 is my oldest. 25, 23, 21, and then my late in life 17-year-old daughter. And then, and honestly, I've always said faith and family come first.
mm,
And then, and if I can hopefully do something good and do something well, then that's fabulous. And so I've worked full time since I was 15 years old, a product of a single
really?
mother. I was raised by a single mom and put myself through college. And then I was a school teacher. And then
Really?
I was. And then on a whim, I took the LSAT, which is the admissions exam for law school. And I did pretty well on it. And so I ended up getting a scholarship to the University of Kentucky Law School. And that really changed my trajectory as far as my career. And I did well in law school and ended up getting a federal clerkship, and then ended up getting a job and met my husband, and the rest is history, so to speak. So yes.
So one thing I just want to reiterate is that you said number one thing is faith and family. Tell me more about you saying that, particularly for
Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
Well, I mean, each day, no matter what I've done, well, I can't say each day because let's be real. Each day, in my perfect world, if I were truly amazing, each day would start with devotion and prayer. And then it's, you know what, I'm your pawn and use me as you see fit. Give me wisdom, give me
Yes.
and so that has always been as I was always trying to balance every decision in my life. And then, once you have children, and then whether you work or whether you don't work, and then I'm going to start this business. And then, it was always just lead me on the path that I'm supposed to be on and give me the strength and the wisdom to follow it. And,
Wow.
and so that's just always how I've tried to live my life. I always struggle between sense of self and sense of purpose, but try to live my life that way. And then obviously the family, I chose to get married. I chose to bring 4 children into this world, and I don't take that for granted. And so I actually started Counsel on Call to give what I thought would be women more control over their schedule, because I always could see the day where I
Yes.
would have to be in court and my child would be in the hospital, and ethically I had to pick my client. And I thought, I never want to be put in that position,
Really?
because I always wanted my children to be my first priority. And so I started the company to try to give women a little more control in the legal profession. It ended up being women and men. It ended up being so much bigger than I ever dreamt. But that was the impetus for it. Was I just always struggled with being a parent and a wife and being a lawyer, and just trying to figure out how I can make it work without just walking away, which is what a lot of people do. And thought, I don't want to walk away because I really enjoy it. But at the same time, I just thought there's got to be a different way to do this. And so that was sort of the impetus for me starting the company.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's one of the reasons why I thought that it would be amazing to have you come, because that's the story of most women, especially women who also feel led to have children.
Mm-hmm.
How do I serve my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And because my purpose is also to be a mother, right?
Absolutely.
But I also need to make some money to be able to be a mother.
Right.
Like, how do you balance that? And so you created a company with a vision of being helpful to women, being able to run their business or to do that kind of work and still be able to spend time and be there for their kids. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what are 3 things you would say has sparked your evolution? And and as you have moved on, what will be the 3 things that you would say that sparked that?
I would have to say my spouse, because quite frankly, he's the one that really encouraged me to do it. And he's the one that has encouraged me every step of the way, no matter what decision I made, even coming to the EC, because, all of a sudden I'm a stay-at-home wife and a mom. And then this opportunity called, and, obviously I went to him and my daughter, because she was the one left at home, because they are the 2 that would have to sacrifice. But without question, my spouse, I mean, we are a partnership in every sense of the word. And not only does he encourage, he also keeps it real. So I never drink the Kool-Aid, and so he's a wonderful spark, as far as for me. The other is the level of responsibility that I felt once people came to work with me. After I started the company, and I had people leave their good paying jobs to come because they believed in my vision and they believed in me, and they came to work they came and worked with me and made next to nothing. And so the level of responsibility that I felt to make sure they made the right decision drove me harder and harder. And then, the third is, I think I've learned over time, and still learning, because I think I'm a perpetual student. And so I'm always learning. And I do a lot of that through listening. I probably, even though I'm going to be talking a lot today, I try to talk less and listen more. And I don't think I necessarily did that in my earlier years. And so that's something that, as I'm getting older, like even with my children, I mean, I've got really smart, young people that I can learn so much from if I would just be quiet and listen to them and their thoughts and where they are on different issues, and really just listen and learn. And same with the people that I'm blessed to work with at the EC and the people in my life. I mean, so I think that's probably the spark the spark is being a perpetual learner and not being done.
Wow. I have to reiterate those 3 points. Your spouse, which also for other people, that's what you provide. at the Entrepreneur Center.
Mhm.
You provide support
Mhm.
and somebody that's going to keep it real,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
Is going to be there for you as you move along and challenge you, push you, propel you.
Mhm.
And then you show your humility when you said, people came along and was involved in the vision of what I thought I wanted to do, and I had a responsibility.
Mhm.
That's amazing. That's
Mhm.
amazing. And that's actually one of the reasons, like when you think about being here for a reason and thinking about your purpose, that's one of the things you do in life. And that's how you get far, I feel like, when
Mhm.
you truly spend some time putting others first and thinking about others and how you're responsible for the outcome of
Mhm.
the circumstance that they're in with you.
Mhm. Exactly.
And then lastly, being a perpetual learner is all. That's exactly what the EC is about as well.
That's true.
Hey,
Mhm.
come get educated. Come get this information. We have it to give you. We want you to have it. And that's one of the reasons why, I don't even look. I'm not going to give you my testimony on EC. I have somebody else who's going to do that. But I'm learning so much from you right now. It just kind of clarifies and refocuses people on the why. The why.
Mhm.
What feedback would you give an entrepreneur? So you've been working with different people and interacting with people, and so you've seen some things, right?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
let's us keep it real. And
Mhm.
what are some things that people need to hear? Like,
It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And before I took the position, I had met a couple of entrepreneurs and I sat and scratched my head thinking, who in the world encouraged this? They had really great paying jobs. They were single parents. They had great paying jobs with benefits. And they had gone and started something that in my little mind, I did not see the payoff for all of the work and all of the energy and effort they were going to put into it. So before, when the EC approached me about this position, I just said, I've got to be real because I don't want to enable something.
yes.
Those are two women I really did fret and pray over because I thought, oh, girlfriends, what were you thinking and who encouraged you to do this? But of course, I can't say that because that wasn't my role. It was just to listen to them and talk about the business. And then, so one is, I don't think it is for everybody. And then, which gets to the other thing is, do you really have a business? And that is a
Oh,
question that do people value your product or your service enough to pay enough so you can have profitability, unless you're a nonprofit business, so that you have profitability. Because at the end of the day, while I never did it for the money, I needed to make sure there was enough money that made it worthwhile as I left the legal profession. And I still had a nanny and that helped me out. Said I'm vain. I had to have clothes. And, it was like, and then I had other people that I was going to employ that I needed to make sure we had enough money to pay them, and really felt that it had a growth potential. Now, I can't say that I ever dreamt it would be where it is today. I did, but not in the beginning. Not in the beginning at all. But
how long did it take you to get there?
well, when I did it, I ran it for 16 years. And when I sold them, and I'm still a shareholder, I'm still on the board, but I sold a majority to a private equity firm because I was throughout US and Europe, and I really thought it could be worldwide. And I knew that wasn't me. And I'm an entrepreneur, and we really needed, and I'd also, as a lawyer, represented enough companies where the entrepreneurs sometimes hold on and they become the bottleneck because they're not willing to
Yes.
evolve. And I didn't want that to be me either. And so I knew it was what was in the best interest of the company and my family for me to bring somebody else in, a seasoned CEO that could really take it to where not always, but once I saw, wow, we're onto it. This is the future of the profession. This is a different way to practice law. This is a different way to get work done. Once that became clear, and listening to the clients, and my lawyers, because both were clients in some ways, but listening to them, then it was, okay, I'm not the right person to really scale this thing at the level it could scale. And so that's when I knew I needed to do the private equity song and dance and get someone that believed in the business enough and believed in me enough to realize I'm not going to Tahiti. I just really want what's best for the business and my people, and bringing in somebody else and somebody else's pocketbook instead of me personally guaranteeing all the debt, was also, I just thought that was what was best for the company and our family at the same time.
That's huge.
So yeah, so no, it's now in 32 countries. I don't know. It's everywhere. So I don't know. I have an office in Berlin. Who would think? Look, I've never been there. Don't even really know where it is. But one day I'll go visit. So yeah.
But that's huge
Mm-hmm.
to make the decision, because we hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I've met many people. Yeah, it's go. See, bringing it back to being mother. Like, how do you let it go?
Because it's ready for college. It's no different. You get them through school and they're ready, or not, because you've done all you can and you've poured your soul and heart and life into it, and you pray, and then you just follow. And I always said I had 5 children, and the business was by far the neediest.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Wow. That's wow. Okay, so I cut you off.
No.
You were giving me feedback on, you said, do you really have a business? And then you talked about how you recognized that you needed to scale your business, and I got really involved in that conversation. But is there anything more that you wanted to say about that, being real about, do you really have a business?
Right. I think that's, because as an entrepreneur, I've started many companies, and, and most of them sit on these shelves right behind me. Because what I also realize, I'm not as hungry as I used to be. I'm not as desperate as I used to be. And so, when I had to get up at 4 a.m. to catch a flight to go try to land a piece of business, I never really wanted to do it, but I needed and had to do it. And so I think that's part of it. Are you hungry? Darryl Freeman, we did this Circle Back podcast, and Darryl Freeman's line, I think, was, you can't teach hunger. And I thought, I love that line, because, I've started businesses and I wasn't hungry enough. And so they sit on a shelf, or, they putter along, but they don't do maybe what they could or should have, or maybe they weren't a great business to start with, because I didn't do enough customer go out there. And is it something people value enough that they'll pay enough that you have profitability? Yes or no? And then how much profitability is it worth your time? So if you, this woman,
you are dropping so many pearls right now. I just have to acknowledge that.
So I think that's where, for me, that's what I think a large part of it is it, just sort of those factors. And, just because sometimes, like I know I've met with some people at the EC, and I'll say, who's your customer? Well, it should be, I didn't ask that. Who is your customer? Well, it should be. Well, if you're still trying to convince me who it should be, then we've got to figure something out, because it ain't who it is. And so, is that because you can't get to them, or is that because maybe your product or service isn't something they value enough that they want to be a customer? So, you got to dissect why it should be someone and it's not. And before you go into debt, and before you sign your house on the line, and all of those things that entrepreneurs have to do, usually, and understand, I was an entrepreneur that took no outside investor. And so all that not until we were big, we just bootstrapped everything. And so I'm just a very different, I
Are you a mentor at the Entrepreneur Center? Can somebody get time and to speak with you?
yeah, I mean, I'm not a mentor in the mentor program, but I meet with anybody in our programs that wants to meet with me. So that's easy. So, and there's
Oh,
far greater people than me mentoring at the EC. And so again, but I think that's, but yeah,
you're so humble.
everybody. No, it's true. It's very true.
Wow. Wow. This is some great, amazing information. Something that I want to go back to is you're making sure people ask those self-reflective questions.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to yourself, are you hungry for this? Is this something that you're willing to sacrifice to make sure that it grows and that it scales? Are you the person for it? What kind of support do you need? Because I know you have some entrepreneurs there that they'll come there and they have no idea what they need from you.
Right.
It is kind of
That's right.
there.
Yep. And that's part of what we're there for, is to help them sort of figure that out and to help them. And, and I think the other thing is walking away that doesn't mean failure. Sometimes that means strength. And so I think that's the, but I think that's the getting real part. On the other hand, if somebody has something and they believe in it and that's awesome too. So, I'm not trying to be a negative at all for entrepreneurship. I do think sometimes it's a life I wouldn't wish on anybody, because it really is a very all-consuming life. I've got now children that want to be entrepreneurs, and I'm like, oh, baby, go work, go work, go work. And then, because I also think that's when you also see some problems, because entrepreneurs are problem solvers. And and sometimes you can solve problems in your own little world, but if you get out in the other world, you might see problems and then find solutions. And I just think, go work a little while and get some experience and work for some people that you think are horrible, because you don't want to be that person. Work for people you think are great, because that's
It's true.
And
it's true.
Yeah.
You need to learn what the leadership styles are, right? And
right.
you get to decide to be a leader, because it sounds like in what you have described yourself, you're more of a transformational leader.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you have to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, that's who I want to be. And so then I have to strive to do that. But it's a lot of components of running a business, a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people do not have the skill set for that. You have a skill set for what you know how to do,
mm-hmm.
but not necessarily to run a business. It's two different skill sets.
Right. And part of that is, one, the EC is there because, again, that's a bit of what we offer, because a lot of entrepreneurs like myself, as far as the finance and the margin and the EBITDA and all of that, but I happen to be married to the person that cared about all of that. So it was a great partnership there. But I think that's also what we try to bring in, is help people that can help operationally, that balance. And then usually I would say to entrepreneurs, when you're ready to hire, just don't hire yourself. You want to hire somebody that complements you. And compliments you, meaning somebody that can help your weaknesses. And weaknesses aren't a bad thing, because you can't be perfect at everything. But, if usually a lot of times the entrepreneur is the salesperson, because you're the one with the vision. You're the one that believes in it. You're the one that's going to go out. You're going to get people to buy it, and that doesn't mean that you also have to be the finance person or the person that can make sure you're hitting your numbers and make sure that you've got your margin right and make sure of all those things. So I think that's, I meet with some young entrepreneurs, and it's them and their best friend, and they're like mirror images of each other. And so it's like, well, this is great. You'll have a great sales team. But that may be fine, because you can always hire operational, or you can work with the EC and we can help get it set up, and then you can hire when you're ready to, or whatever that is. But I do think most entrepreneurs are not 360 in abilities. Most people aren't. I mean, most children aren't. And so you have your skill set and your gifts. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're usually a visionary and or problem solver.
Yes.
And then you can rally people around it. Now some are operational, some are tech, some are software engineers. I mean, that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, is it's so diverse. And so you can't box anyone in, because gosh forbid you ever box an entrepreneur in. It just will not work. Don't ever box me in. But no, I think that's so I would just say, make sure when you make a hire, it's someone that complements versus somebody
Yes.
a mirror image.
Wow, so many good information. You said, who was that you said that you can't teach hunger? What was that?
Darryl Freeman.
Darryl Freeman.
And we have a podcast, and it's called Circle Back, and I think he's episode 4 or 5. But if you haven't listened to it, it is well worth the 30 minutes. I mean,
okay,
30 minutes. I'm telling you.
Okay, you said the Entrepreneur Center has a podcast. Didn't know that. Everyone, the Entrepreneur Center has a podcast. Episode 4, you said.
I think it is. It's just Darryl Freeman. And Freeman. You'll see his picture. And I mean, all of them are great. We started, Governor Bredesen was our very first one, because he was a very successful healthcare entrepreneur.
Yes.
And, but Darryl, I don't even remember, but Darryl's one reason I'm at the EC, because when I started my company, I cold called founders in this city, and every one of them met with me, because this was long before the EC. And every one of them met with me. And I remember Darryl talking to me all about the importance of keeping your overhead low, and your real estate, and what you really needed to invest in, and then networking. And so, when the EC was started, and Darryl and a couple other people were involved with it, and they were raising money because it's a nonprofit, I donated money to it, because I had gotten to the point where I had a little money. And so I donated money to it. And then when they asked me to step in, I called Darryl, who was on my board, and was like, all right, buddy, if I'm coming in, you're coming on my executive team. And because you're the reason I'm saying yes here. So no, he's a great guy, but his podcast is amazing. And if you haven't, all of them are really good. I'm just thrilled. But Darryl's is unbelievable.
Well, thank you so much for letting us know about that. I will make sure that I promote that in the Nashville chapter sort of Facebook group, as well as all the pearls that you dropped during the day. Oh my goodness gracious! Going back, it sounds like you did a lot of your own self-reflection, so you knew how to make the right steps for yourself, and then getting out of the way so that other individuals could take your vision to the next level, and you still reap benefits because you have equity in the business. That is some great information for people to think and consider. So it's about that time for questions, and I already have a question in the box right now from Salisa. And she's asking, how do you go about obtaining help getting the operations together from the EC?
Sure. We have different programs. And so most people that enroll in our programs are assigned and or have access to mentors and advisors. And part of the program is trying to sit with you and figure out where you are and what your challenges are, and then aligning you with the mentor advisor that could help you. So if somebody actually needs help, like, oh my gosh, I don't have my books even set up, or whatever that might be, and then we would assign you a mentor and advisor that could help you do that. One thing that we as an organization are trying to figure out, is that a service that we should be working and offering and helping? And we haven't made that decision yet, because we're just trying to make sure we respond to the needs of our community, and in trying to gauge what is the best utilization of our people and resources. And is it marketing? Is it like we put in a broadcast studio because people needed to meet to their customers, and so letting them have access to a broadcast studio so they could take a website and convert it to an e-commerce platform with interactive data during the pandemic, or
Ooh, yes.
whatever, whatever the needs are. But yes, that's usually in our programs. Now we also have membership at the EC, and I'm going to plead, I'm just ignorant. Because I know there's some membership that gives you access to an advisor. I don't know how tailored it is. Zap, Haley Zablosky, who we just know her as Zap, runs that program, and a gentleman named Park O'Brien. And so again, I do think it can be pretty tailored. And that's through the membership. But I know the programs definitely are.
Okay. I actually know a lot about these things and will be happy to get you hooked up because I went through the programming. I know how to get you in contact with Zap. That's part of the conversation that Jane and I will have about making sure that you all have access to this and be able to interact with the EC however you need to. Thank you so much for that question, Salisa. I just want to tell one thing though. I just saw that you all had a company come in to do operations specifically. So that's one thing that the EC does. They always get companies to come in to provide a free service to people who are members and people who are on the mailing list and who signed up. So they actually, and then you can either interact with that company outside of the EC, or they may just come and do another workshop and help you. But I know that I've been helped thoroughly by the programming at the Entrepreneur Center. Here's another question. Can I have a one-on-one with you? I'm signing up for the EC. Okay. She already answered that.
Yes, that would be yes.
I'll let you answer it.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Everybody can't have the Cadillac. They're going to have to go get some other.
No. Like I said, I'm maybe the Ford Pinto. We have 4 Cadillacs there. But yes, I'd be happy to.
Okay, wonderful. Are there any other questions in the chat that you all want to say or acknowledge? I do want to ask you a more questions about what would you say is your particular target market entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I think that I had someone in today and they were talking about a neighbor who has an idea for a business. And I'm like, the reality is we really don't play in that space. We start with our pre-flight program, and I don't know if anyone's gone through that program, but the pre-flight program is our entry point, and that's for somebody that has a business and is trying to figure out whether it's really a business or is it a hobby. And that program is a 14-week program that's offered 3 times a year, and I think that's and pre-flight is open to anybody. I see something about kidpreneurs. We definitely have college kids, and I think we have a couple high schools in this pre-flight program right now.
Really? High school?
High school students.
Okay.
But we don't have anyone younger than that, but it's offered. And now with COVID, it used to be at the EC in person, and I was trying to work with the library system about taking it out into the community. But now with COVID, it's hybrid, it's virtual. Most of it's virtual, and so it doesn't matter. But it's offered on Monday nights.
Oh, wow.
For every 14 weeks. And that's where we enter. And then this past year during the pandemic, we have something called the Renew program that is any Nashville business or small business or entrepreneur negatively impacted by COVID that we worked with. And with that, we set up office hours with lawyers and accountants and bankers and website, et cetera, all that they volunteer. That's the beauty of Nashville. They volunteer and they've taken these office hours. And so we have Renew, and I think that's still on the website, even though, to be very candid, we have gotten zero money for it this year. So I'm hoping Metro comes through and gives us a little money to keep that program going, because I do think it's still very much needed. And then we have Twin Day, which is a program that I believe Erica is familiar with, but it's Black and Brown founders, and it's just been amazing in my humble opinion. And then we also have something called, oh gosh, who comes up with these names? Somebody more creative than me. Twin Day and then Twin Flight, which is for entrepreneurs post pre-flight, but they may not be a high growth, high scale. They may just be a local, and I don't mean just, I mean, it's an important thing. They may be a local business that wants to be a local business in their community. And so through those programs, we work with them on, how do you get to 100,000 of revenue, or how do you get to
Yes.
how do you get to 50,000 of revenue? And and so they're just a different now phase. And so what we have is a life cycle of an entrepreneur. Those are our phase 1 programs. That's where a lot of our local entrepreneurs sit. That's where a lot of our local entrepreneurs stay, and that's fabulous. We have phase 2 programs, which are for high growth, high scale. They have investable assets that venture capital money may want to invest in. They are a lot of those involve technology and apps and healthcare, music.
Yes.
Even though they can be, I mean, Shawnee Dow, I don't know if any of y'all know Shawnee, but Shawnee's in the phase 2. She has a program, she has a company that she started here locally in education. But again, it's a technology-based company. So those are companies that have high growth, high scale potential. And those are your phase 2 companies. And so a lot of people are in the phase 1. Some are in phase 2, and then we're there for phase 3, which are people that are just churning away, working, and they really don't need much, but we might put a panel discussion together on succession planning or things that people that are in business for a while might want to be thinking about. And then phase 4 are people like myself who have sold a majority of their company and now have time to give back and mentor. And so we have a community of phase 4 that some of them act as mentors and advisors. And then we also bring in speakers for them as well, because I always said the loneliest time in life is when you exit your company. Because now all of a sudden, what is your purpose? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I always said I was in the wilderness just waiting for that burning bush. And I guess the EC was it. So, but I think, so we really work with the life cycle of the entrepreneur. But most of ours is in that phase 1, once you have a company, up to phase 2. All right, now I want to scale this thing. What do I do? And so we had like Felicia, who has CPR Wrap, Felicia Jackson, and she's just amazing. But I think she started in pre-flight, and then she came into that sort of twin flight program. And then she just kept growing. And now she's in Project Healthcare, and it's all about scaling and doing mass production, because she actually creates a product that allows people to give infant and child CPR by just literally taking it out, putting it on, and it tells you exactly what to do. And it's pretty cool. No, it's cool. CPR Wrap. It's really cool. And she won the Pitch for Good and is going to get the Titans sponsorship for the football season coming up this year. So she won the Pitch for Good competition and will be featured as the local, as the entrepreneur that will get a lot of publicity. So,
wow.
But it's a great product. It really is. But she's sort of come through all the programs, and now she's in that, okay, I'm going to scale this thing. So how do I get manufacturing done? And how do I get distribution at a, much larger level than, 10 a month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. It is now 6:58. We went a little bit over, but that's okay, because we were supposed to do announcements and then the testimonial. So we have time to do that now. And you already gave a lot of information about the Entrepreneur Center. Everyone, please check it out. Reach out to the Entrepreneur Center. Reach out to me. One thing that I want to say, though, this is an announcement that I have for you. This is a startup company in Nashville. Her name is Letitia. Oh, Letitia. I'm so sorry. Is her name Letitia? Oh my goodness. Letitia, and I have no idea how to pronounce her last name. Uwaifu. Her company is called Design the Life. And she is one of our partners, and she is gifting you, our speaker, a subscription box. And the subscription box is the information about it. The Dream Life box made for a busy woman, filled with tools to spark creativity and promote self-care in order to start living the life of your dreams. So I know you already live the life of your dreams, but guess what? You can.
Oh, I have lots of dreams.
Right. In this box, she has color pencils, she has a journal, she has scrubs and
Oh, fun.
all the
Oh, how
things,
wonderful.
right? And so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pick it up from her, and I'll bring it over to the Entrepreneur
Ah,
Center for you. Thank
thank you.
you so much for being here,
No, my pleasure.
spending time with us. And it's already 7 o'clock, but I want to introduce to you Tara, and introduce everybody. Tara Mitchner. Let me pull her up and get her in here. She is going to provide one thing, a part of the, let me see, she's now a host. Okay, Tara. Okay, you can share your video if you would, please.
Okay. Did I do it correctly?
I don't know. I don't see your face.
It went away. Let's see.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Host. There we go. All right.
Oh, I'm always
Can you
busy when it works. I can hear you if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I want to see you. And Jane, do you see her?
I do not see her.
Oh goodness. Let's see how we do that. Yeah, I have her. Oh, okay. I don't want to share. I don't want to share Salisa. I want to share Tara. I'm so sorry, you all. Just a moment. This is new technology for me. Set as a host. Okay. So do you have your video on? Do you see yourself, Tara? Uh-oh. We don't hear anymore. Oh goodness. Technology sometimes. Okay. She is a host. Okay. There she is. Okay.
You
So
can see
share. There she is. There she is. Tara. Thank you so much. Part of this series, the Bridge series, is to bridge the gap between the within the Nashville business ecosystem. But I want people to know about and us to give you a little testimonial on someone who went through and tell you about these things, who she is, and what program she went through, and how the Entrepreneur Center has been helpful to her. So go for it, Tara.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my name is Tara Mitchner. I own and operate Quench Juice Cafe in downtown Nashville. I opened last year at this wonderful time, around this time, June, of 2020. I run the shop with my son, Christian, and my daughter, Caitlin. They were some of my main reasons of wanting to do business. By trade, I'm a registered nurse. I'm actually at work right now, but that's okay too. So I'm multitasking, for wearing different hats. So at my shop, we do fresh juice, smoothies, bowls, and I'm working on expanding our menu as much as I can. And I'm kind of a one-woman show also. But that leads us into why the resources like the EC Center is so important. So I think the first way I came across the EC Center was the Renew program. So I had already opened my business and had started, and then I saw that I ended up signing up through email, I guess. And that was valuable because it gave me a resource such as a radio ad. At that time, that wasn't in my budget because things were so weird. So that was something I could not have afforded. I was able to have office hours with the accountant, which I had like a personal accountant, but not a business accountant. So things like that showed me what I needed to do to help grow. You need different things or different resources for different areas of your business. So I did the Renew program in Twin Day. Now, why I think that's important. Okay, so for me, like I don't really have anybody like close in my family that has done business, and I'm kind of, trying to figure a lot of it on my own. But having programs like Twin Day, when you find people that are like-minded or have experienced or are currently experiencing some of the things that you experience is invaluable. So people do need to know about the resources. I say my only like so-called regret is that I did not know about the resources before I started my business. And I was already like way into it before, finding these programs. So that I guess that would be one suggestion. Like when you go get your LLC, direct them to the EEC. So you can go step by step and not miss steps or mess up things like I, had to or whatever. But that's the main thing. I appreciate programs like this. Jane, I follow the EC, Darryl Freeman, OG Free Game is another thing that he does. I really related to a lot that you were saying about, your different heads, Jane, and, just trying to keep everything together and grow. And I didn't know about the different phases, so I learned a lot even in just this conversation. So that was good information.
Thank you so much, Tara, for giving a testimonial on the EC and the amazing thing that Nashville is here doing right now, growing and helping and supporting and being the spouse to entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, Jane, for your time and for all the pearls that you dropped. Yes, thank you. So you all, thank you so much, everybody that came. Thank you so much for showing up. This will be on YouTube. If you all want to go back through or point somebody in the direction of this, you all have a good rest of your night.
Right. Wonderful.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.